How to get extremely sharp and efficient spindle gouge. So these are the last few spindle gouges to sharpen in this batch of tools. So for July pre-order. And I just took these out of the package, and what I like to do is just go over the steel with Scotch-Brite pad. This is 400 grit. And I put a little bit of WD-40 on the blade just to degrease any shipping grease off it. So this is now ready for sharpening. So obviously I'll do that for all of them. Now in the last pre-order I've shown you how to sharpen tools using a platform, and in most cases I would use platform. However, this time, just because of the time restriction, I want to send these tools out as much or as fast as I can. I'm going to go with holding in the hand like this approach, which is how I usually sharpen for myself. The reason for that is I'm much faster that way than with the platform for some odd reason, which I can't explain, but I'm just more familiar with that approach, and the end result is 99% the same, just a little bit different way of getting there, so if that makes sense. Yeah, so I'll finish up these gouges, cleaning them up, and I'll tune you in on the grinder. Show you the process for 10 mil diameter spindle gouge, and the first thing that I like to do is extend or make the fingernail profile, and I use the 80 grit CBN wheel for that. Touch both corners and up and down like so, and hopefully you should be able to see an outline of a fingernail profile. So now I have to remove this shiny bit all the way around. I use 80 grit white wheel. It's the coarsest wheel or the fastest material removal wheel that I have. And I already know roughly where to position my fingers and so on to get the angle that I'm looking for. And if you have the platform, of course it will be a little bit safer. Again, this is the way I've been sharpening for years and just suits me the best. So I have a rough angle here, and the way I shape the wings is in a sort of a V path, and I'll show you that a little bit closer on a 80 grit CBN wheel. A little bit of a blue edge doesn't mean anything, especially on M2 or M42, which is my spindle gouge line, or ball gouges as well. So a little bit of a blue heat mark doesn't mean anything, doesn't affect the cutting qualities. You don't want to dunk this into water if it gets any kind of this color. Just let it cool down naturally and you'll be fine. So let's see. Again, I can get really close to the angle that I'm looking for, and just to show you, I like my spindle gouges around 35 degrees, and again it can be 34 or 36, doesn't really matter, but I just want to show you that this is really darn close to 35 degrees, and again this is done by hand as you saw. So I'll just reposition the camera so you can see the next stage, which is 80 grit CBN wheel. which is a little bit coarser than the final 180 grit that I'll use, but I'll shape the final profile here on the 80 grit. And just to show you what it looks like now. Now again, you could use platform, and I have used it in the previous batches, but again, I'm a little bit slower maneuvering because it's not my everyday sharpening method, let's call it. I always sharpen for myself by holding the tool in my hand like this. For the last few batches I use the platform just because of the consistency, but when I need to get the stuff done more quickly, I go to my more familiar way, let's call it. So the way I sharpened it, and hopefully this camera angle will show it nicely, is envision the center line going like this. So from the middle of the wheel going down like that. And I want to make a V, sort of envision the V, letter V like that. And in the middle, you're in the middle of the tool or the flute. And as you go to the side of the wings, you rotate it at the same time and follow that V path up, then back down, and then to the left. So this motion, as you going to the left in this case, you start to rotate it immediately, and you finish up. I don't finish up completely vertical with the flute like this or closed, so now the flute is facing 3 o'clock. I finish maybe at around 2 o'clock, and the same on the other side. This would be 9 o'clock. I finish at around 10 o'clock. So this is how it looks in the practice. So I find the bevel, start with the heel, start raising the handle, and it should get a little bit more light, like so, until I have the complete coverage of the bevel, like that. And now, if I go to my right, follow that V path and rotate it at the same time. Go back down, go to the other side, and down. If you have any lumps, you can stay at one spot a little bit. So once you get the hang of it, you can go and sharpen quite fast. Okay, and just to show you the profile now. Now this will cut perfectly as it is, and just to show you the angle once again, that it's pretty much the same. Once you get into groove of freehand sharpening, it's really not that difficult, and it's much faster. So now from this point, I'll hone out the flute with a little bit of a older sandpaper. This is, I believe, 400 grit. So push it into the flute like so. So you have it folded in 3, then fold it one more time like so. Push it into the flute. Have the majority of the paper in the flute, and just rub away. So now switch to 180 grit, find the bevel, and this will get nice final sharp edge. And for this, you don't have to go fast. You have a really good result if you slow down. So now this is nicely sharpened spindle gouge. And so I have here a little piece of elm running at 2000 RPM. This is from one of the previous videos, and let me show you how now this performs. And again, this one, as I've shown in that previous video, is highly abrasive elm. But for showing this, it's quite good. And again, this is smaller spindle size, spindle gouge. But works beautifully. Also show you from a little broader view. And one more cleaning pass. So when you have a nice, efficient and sharp spindle gouge, this is what you can expect. So this is pretty much ready to be sanded with maybe 240 grit. You might even go with 320 grit. So really doesn't need a whole lot of sanding. This is really nice and clean surface. So we have a little shoulder, then we have a bead, then another little shoulder, a little OG profile, then a little tiny shoulder, a little cove, again a little shoulder, and then bigger bead. And as you see here, with a nice sharp spindle gouge, and this is what you will get when you order from me. So nice bevel all the way around. There might be a little, as you can see, light distortion, but again, as you saw in a practice, this is how you want your spindle gouge or any other tool to perform. And you really don't want to miss a next video, because I'm going to show you what you can do with scrapers. It's really something that you haven't seen, or at least I think you haven't seen it. It's basically riding the bevel with the scrapers, and we're going to do some crazy stuff. Not for the faint of heart, I will say that. So since this spindle gouge has now cut a little bit more timber than my usual testing out procedure, I'm going to sharpen it again for the customer, and this is ready to be shipped out. So I don't usually go with all three steps at one time. I go with a rough profile on a white wheel, then I do all the tools on white wheel, then I switch to 80 grit wheel, and so on. So I do this one step for all tools, then I switch to the next step for all tools, and then final step I'll do with every tool. And that's, at least in my opinion, a little bit faster than go with each step for one tool particular, let's say. So again, hopefully you like this video. Again, you really don't want to miss next one, and yeah, I need to get back to work.